All right, guys, 2023 signing day, man. What a great day, right? A lot of thank yous to go around here. Our administration, Dr. Maggard, Dr. Savoy, they provide us all the resources we need to go out and do a really good job in recruiting. Football is important to both of those guys. They understand that, that is kind of the front patio, front porch to our university, right? More people watch us in football than maybe anything else that goes on around here. So it's important for those guys to support us, and they do a great job doing that. And it's important for us to go out and find the right type of guy to represent our university. Guys, this is a multiple-year process. We sign one class at a time, but some of these guys we've been working on and working with for a long time to get to here. Everyone in our building is critical to our recruiting success. There's not one person in our building that is not involved directly in the recruiting of these young men, right? Support staff, the directors of on-campus recruiting, Jessica and her crew do a tremendous job, and then all of our full-time coaches, obviously. So everyone has hands-on in this. Everyone is part of the decision-making. Everyone is part of the contact and recruiting period, and I think it helps us. We team recruit, right? We take a lot of pride in doing this the right way. We're committed to building a team of high character, good students who want to represent this institution, this community, this culture, and play at a really high level. And we think we can provide all that for them. So we spend a lot of time, energy, and effort trying to find the right kind of kid for our program. We think we have put together a great signing class, something that I think we're all going to be extremely proud of here in the years to come. And then specifically get to this offensive group, right? 5 from Louisiana, 4 from Texas, 2 from Mississippi, 1 from Florida, and then another young man from Arkansas, a quarterback, a running back, and then 4 wide receivers and another young man that is a wide receiver / running back. We're going to let him kind of do both and see how that takes off. 2 tight ends and 4 O-linemen, right? Important for us on offense here, we had to address the needs of our room, right? O-line was a critical need, right? We played without 12 players. For one reason or another, we played without 12 players from the O-line room from the 21 roster this season in 22, which made it really hard on us, right? Our coaches, Coach Nord, Coach Ross, Austin Shepard, those guys did a tremendous job of improving the group that was available and was there week to week. Which was always changing pretty much because of injury and everything else. But those guys did a tremendous job. So it was important for us to go out and find the 4 young men on the O-line that we needed there. Wide receivers, we wanted to recruit big, long, athletic, and find elite speed, or a combination of both, and we think we've done that, right? There's a great group here. We can talk about each of them specifically here in a second, but we needed to address, the length in the room, right? John Stevens and Michael Jefferson are different animals, right? They're open by birth because they're bigger, longer, faster than most, right? So we needed to replace that. That was our goal, right? We feel like we've had a room full of really good players, and those guys have separated themselves a little bit because of their size. We wanted to try to find that, right? We think we did a good job there. And, personally, I think we hit the jackpot with that group, right? Tight end was critical. We wanted to replace Johnny Lumpkin. 6'6", 270, having a great all-star game week and a great game just a couple days ago. We feel like we found 2 guys there, right? And we really were looking to replace 1, and we took 2. Why'd we take 2? Because most years, the length, the size, and the skill set are not available at tight end. It's one of the positions in this state and some of the surrounding states. Sometimes it's hard to find. And when you do find them, everybody else is looking for them too. We were able to find 2 that fit our immediate need that we feel like are going to play really good here for us. And we're excited about both those young men specifically. And then, we took a quarterback and a running back. Good ones are hard to pass up. And we weren't going to take a quarterback in this class with the departures of the 2 guys we had in the transfer portal at quarterback. It opened up an opportunity, and we feel like we got the state's best player at quarterback. If this guy had a different last name, he would be Gatorade Player of the Year in this state, right? 70 touchdowns, over 5,000 yards of offense, can run it, can throw it. Elite intangibles, right? The way people in that community talk about this young man, you feel like it's the way we talked about Levi Lewis. Everything he was off the field and as a person, we feel like we got there. And then we got another great young man, a big running back with track speed, 700 meters in Bill Davis. And so we feel like we put together a really good group here in this class. We're excited to get those guys here. Do have 2 young men here. The 2 wide receivers are already here. Two of the group are already here, so we're excited about that. And then, as going forward here, I guess we can kind of open it up and take questions, about the group offensively.
Yeah, Tim, you kind of answered this question, but maybe expound a little bit more. But lunch being available for you guys, I mean,
right?
How does that even happen?
Yeah, I think what you'll see in the transfer portal era, there's going to be better high school and junior college players available to us. This guy's had Central Florida, he had Virginia. This guy had a bunch of offers. And as this thing played out, for him to be available, Coach Des started that recruiting process with this dude 3 years ago now, because we knew, this is a real guy. And Coach Des did a really good job of establishing that relationship, knew everything about the kid, and we continued to recruit him even when we didn't need a quarterback, right? We kept evaluating the 5 or 6 guys that we really liked, and every time we did it, he rose to the top of the group, right? And a really good group, I'll say that. And when it was time, we were in position because we had done the back work, both with Coach Des, Coach Giuliani, and then as we got going, everybody got involved because we knew it was a priority. So that's kind of how that fell out. We're excited, man. I say that, and I'm not taking a shot at anyone else here, but the production and the numbers and a state championship, that guy's the Gatorade Louisiana Player of the Year, period.
Coach, that's actually what I was going to ask you. Was that championship kind of like the icing on the cake for you all?
If you get to know the kid, right, he is a winner in every sense of the word. Like, we go watch him play basketball. Not a overly skilled basketball player. Now, he would argue with you about that, but very average on the basketball court. But the game we saw was an overtime game, went down to the wire. Every time there was a stop that needed to be made, he made a play on defense. Every time there was a lead that needed to be cut into, he drove, bucket, and won, made the free throw, right? Hit a three-pointer. This is just who he is, right? When the game's on the line, this dude finds a way to win the game. And he did that in the playoffs, right? The guy carried the ball 90 times in the last 2 playoff games. I mean, think about that, right? 90 times in the last 2 playoff games while he was throwing for 300. He's a guy that just wills his team to win. He elevates the people around him. He's a natural leader. People gravitate to him. Old, young, everything in between. When he's in the room, he commands the room. He's just a different dude. And so we're excited as heck to have him for sure.
You don't get a bunch of quarterbacks every year because you can have too many. So how do you see this playing out over there?
So ideally what we would want is to have 4 on scholarship at a time, spread out over classes, right? And then let them figure it out, okay? The philosophy of the previous head coach was you could never have too many quarterbacks on scholarship, right? And he wanted to practice a certain way, and he wanted those guys to compete a certain way. And we feel like there's only so many reps in practice to go around. And so if you're kind of robbing Peter to pay Paul a little bit, because you have numbers, you got to give them reps. But people are missing reps. And so, and obviously, look, we had a lot of success. I'm not taking a shot at that. It's just a different philosophy. We like 4. We're going to try to keep 4 on scholarship at one time, and then it allows us to divvy out the reps and then really give them a chance to go compete at it.
On paper, does he have more ability to play another position than Zion?
I don't know. I was in the indoor yesterday, and some guys were throwing Zion the ball. He was running. He just flipped around, started messing around, running routes, and so I don't know. I don't know. I just tell him you better be careful. But I know the Coach Viator and Coach Des would not like me to say that, but obviously Zion's going to be in the middle of this. But lunch provides a little bit bigger, more physical body. We wanted to recruit the kid. Had there not been an offensive position, we were talking about potentially wideout, maybe even linebacker, because of how physical and how big he is. I mean, 6'1", 220, right? And people have made a living recruiting high school quarterbacks to call the defensive linebacker. So he's good enough to play, I think, multiple spots. I think what people are going to be surprised with is how well he throws the ball. And I'm going to be honest, I watched the tape. I wasn't super excited last spring. I went watch him in person, and I called back and I said, he can really spin it. It's accurate. There's touch. There's velocity. There's timing. There's rhythm. He's a natural thrower of the football. I think, better than most people give him credit for because he's such a good runner, right? Not super dynamic, but has enough make you miss, and it's the physicality and the toughness and the timing and tempo of the runs. Like, he's just natural. So we're excited.
You said you had hit the jackpot as far as the wide receiver room. Can you kind of go into a little bit as to why?
Okay. First of all, we wanted to find length. Okay, so Harvey Broussard, 6'3". A.J. J-Rowe, 6'4". Tavion Smith, 6'3". Kadarius Wade, 6'4". Okay, Kadarius Wade ran 10.79 100 meters last year. Like, the guy can roll, right, at 6'4". So that's elite speed with elite size and length, right? Also plays defense, like really physical toughness there. Tavion Smith was a top 50 junior college recruit coming out of Jones, right? Really productive high school career, 6'3", 200 plus pounds already. Plus, he kind of fills the void of where Kyron left from, right? He fits right in that spot. Kind of same age, same body type, same skill set, like really plugs in right there. A.J. J-Rowe is a guy that Coach Brad Bussell found at Frisco Reedy, and a guy that I've dealt with up there that trains a lot of high-level wide receivers. Coach Bussell found him. Right, we plugged the film in. I really like the film. I find ground footage. He's training with a guy that I trust. Made the call to that guy, and he said, "Coach, this is a real dude. This guy's 6'4". He's 190 pounds already. He's ate up with football. Wants to be elite at the position. Right, he's a bigger version of Pete LeBlanc. Right, and like, this guy lives it. Like, there's nothing else. If you went in the indoor, I guarantee he's in there right now. He'll be in there every day, every chance he gets. And today's their day off. And then Harvey Broussard, like, the guy's a national recruit, right? Multiple Power 5 offers. Power 5 teams at the end still trying to get in the mix, right? So, with those four guys, and then Javion Haynes was a running back / wide receiver that we saw in LSU's 7-on-7 tournament, okay? This guy ran 10.7 last year. We're talking about 10.5, Raymond Kale fast, right? So the potential for him to do punt, kick off return, play running back / wide receiver, or vice versa, hard to find, right? So the combination of those five guys, normally when you sign a group that big, you kind of reaching and feeling for guys on the end because you need to fill the spots, right? This group, top to bottom, we just kept taking them. Right, it was just like, we got to take that guy, man. Like, we got to take that guy. We've got to take that guy. And so it just kept happening. And I'm telling you, I think this is a really good group. These guys are going to push people now. They're going to push people.
Yeah, you guys sealing a deal with Harvey. Kind of take us through that process with him a little bit. And then, two, Tavion, I mean, he just seems like a guy, watch some of this film, he seems like a guy that could probably, if y'all play a game tomorrow, he could probably play.
Right. A little more mature, more physical. He's been in college ball, so Tavion's got a feel for it, right? As far as Harvey goes, that was a 2.5-year process as well, right? Obviously, you could see it really early on with Harvey. It used to be my school. I started recruiting the guy several years ago. We have a great relationship. And then Coach Dennis Thomas took over, did a really good job with his family. And then when we realized, hey, we're in this now, like, it was full court press. There wasn't anybody in our building that didn't have contact with that dude, right? I think the thing with Harvey is there was so much Power 5 interest early, right? And he was very clear with me, Coach, I like this school and you guys, and then there's everybody else. So it really came down to him for two schools, right? And at one point, the other school was not involved. And, I said, hey, man, who do you like? Like, if you had to pick a top 3 or top 4, top 5 right now, who do you like? He said, Coach, Virginia, Arkansas, Florida, and you guys. That's my 4, right? And there was the other school he was kind of waiting on and never came to fruition. And as we went through it, for whatever reason, right, we just kept surviving layers, right? And people would peel off and they stop calling and stop recruiting. And, his family dynamic is unique in that he, on the weekends, he's not able to take trips and make trips. And I think people got discouraged, right? Guy never came to a game here. He lives right there. And it's hard for him to get here. Okay, so he certainly couldn't make it to any of those other spots I listed, right? And I think people didn't stay the course, and we stayed the course. And he learned through that he could really trust us and believe in us. And then when he came, we went through the development process. Some of the things that we do, use Michael Jefferson as an example, and then all of our drill stuff, and his eyes kind of widened, and he kind of felt like, hey, I can make the NFL from here. And having MJ is everything we needed because they're the same guy, you know? So that's why, you know, I feel like we hit the jackpot with those guys, and then I feel like, you know, that's Harvey's story in a nutshell right there. A lot of moving pieces to that now. Like, it became a joke around here a little bit. On Saturday mornings, we'd staff meet and Des would go, let me guess, Harvey's going to be here today. And then he wouldn't show up because there was a part at home where somebody was driving, like somebody was working, somebody was babysitting, somebody just couldn't ever get away from it, right? And so we just stayed the course, man. Persistence breaks resistance is what I would tell you. So,
not necessarily mention any of them, but in general, the group of preferred walk-ons that you got, how would you rank that with other previous years?
Yeah, because they haven't signed a national letter of intent, I can't speak on them, right, until they're enrolled, accepted, and paid their housing deposit. Right. And not all of us are there, so I'm not going to try to figure out which ones are which, right? But you saw today some from the area. Again, the transfer portal is a blessing and a curse, right? You have a chance here if you sign and develop a really good player, right? And we all know who they are on our roster right now. Next year, it's going to come up, right? And so through that, there's really good high school players still available to sign and to get to PWO. And look, we've put, 30-plus guys on scholarship here in the last 5 seasons. It was important to the previous head coach. It's important to Coach Des right now. And we practice the way we practice. We have 135 people on our team. If you come watch us practice in fall camp, you're going to think there's 2 football teams practicing because we're going to have ones and rookies on one field and 2s and 3s on another, and it's 2 full practices. With the support of our administration and the president, we have enough staff in the building to be able to do that. We have the flow chart of bodies to go do that. And because we do that, walk-ons are critical. So, if a rookie ends up on a really good player, he's got to be able to hold his own, right, and make that guy better. And so part of what we missed last year was that, because the natural attrition, all of the injuries, guys, look, I don't know if you guys are aware of this, but, there were parts of the year last year, 37 guys that were supposed to be playing for us last year were either hurt, not here, ineligible for whatever reason, not available for whatever reason. So take our roster and subtract 37. I don't care what team you're talking about. They're going to have a hard time. And we couldn't practice the way we want to practice to develop our football team, which is critical to how we do business, right? So if we can't do that, we're not going to be as good. That's why it took us a long time to get going on the O-line. We didn't have the bodies to practice the way we wanted to practice. It took some time to get going. I mean, I just told y'all, just in the O-line room, 12 guys alone that were supposed to be in there that weren't. That were either injured in the portal or graduated and said, Coach, I'm good. I'm going to use my business degree and go back to Houston and go to work. We had all of it, right? Everything in between. So made it hard, right? Made it hard. But those walk-ons are critical. And we signed some really good ones. We signed some really good ones, not only from the local area, but from the state of Louisiana and outside the state. Great students, get their out-of-state tuition waived, become in-state, pay in-state fees, and you got another good player.